Ladies and gentlemen, what's the volume up? There you go. We're going to call to order the Public Policy. There we go. Committee to order. And we're going to hear a bill today. Senator Albers, you can either do that wherever you prefer. Okay?
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and members of the committee.
Podium, there we go.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I bring before today to your committee Senate Bill 302. This is a bill that most of us have seen in the past. We passed a similar version of this, but it was vetoed by the governor, and it was a good call because it needed to be updated and changed, something we missed during the process. So I commend the governor, and I thank him and his staff for assisting us in perfecting this bill. What it does is it sets up a process that each and every year, the chair of the House Ways and Means and the chair of the Senate Finance Committee can each pick 5 bills to have a complete economic analysis performed for our tax credit incentives. Really to put, I'll call, a return on investment on those so we know how they're being spent. Now, in some cases, we found, we did this in a study committee a few years ago, that some of them were phenomenal. In fact, they were so good I could argue we should expand them because if you gave me $10 in investment and I gave you back $100, you'd probably be asking me, well, can I invest $1,000? Now, there are others that were not doing what they're intended to do. There were some that were not really being used but cost to administrate, and some were doing just exactly what we'd hoped they'd do. But this is good, responsible government. It models what a lot of other states have done, and I hope it will be something that we can do as a great combination between the House and the Senate to have good review and good analysis done. So the change from last year is just simply that the governor had requested that this is done by OPB, and in many cases, OPB contracts with outside parties to do that. Most of us are familiar with the great work that comes out of Dr. Bushman and Georgia State University and the Fiscal Research Center, but they've used other folks over the years as well. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I would yield for any questions from your committee.
Okay, members. Since we've kind of heard this before and been down this path, it's yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, did you have a
13? This says
13? Well, that's okay.
So Senator Albers, of course, as you recall, I carried the legislation on your behalf in the House last year that was ultimately vetoed. As I mentioned to you the other day, you know, the main modification, and I think you just stated it was a request of the governor, was to bring the analysis under the purview of OPB. And remind me, last year the bill had that analysis attached or assigned where?
the last time it was being done through the state auditor.
To the Department of Audits.
Yes.
And of course, I guess one of my concerns is OPB is attached to the executive branch. The OPB director is appointed by the governor. So in the instance a future or an administration has a priority project, a priority expenditure, a priority exemption that's important to the administration, and your legislation would make the, let's say the member of the House or the Senate, one of the chairmen would like to review that particular administrative priority. They make a request of an agency attached to that very administration, to a director appointed by that very administration, and then that director would have the option, according to your bill, to go to an outside third party, but not required. So I would suspect in an instance like that they may choose not to go to an outside third party, and I might further suggest that if it was a priority of an administration, a credited expenditure, what have you, that the report would probably come back supporting what that administration's priority was. Do you have reason, could you dissuade me from those suspicions?
Well, you're bringing up a great point, Mr. Chairman, and certainly that is a feasible outcome. I would say, though, that I have trust and faith that even our governors, whomever may sit in that seat in the history of time, and I know for certain for Governor Kemp, that they want a strong return on investment for the state too. And I don't believe that he nor his folks would ever pick something and skew those results unless he thought it was really in the best interest of the state by the actual numbers to prove it out. Now, while we could never speak for future governors, and I smell what you're cooking, I do understand that. I believe I believe the process can work, and I think this is a way to advance the ball, move forward, and I think these economic analysis will help. And in my 10 years of serving down in this body, I have learned that compromise is a good word, not a bad word, and I think this is just a chance for us to do that.
Well, I don't know, I don't disagree at all about our current administration. I think sometimes we do pass legislation, good and bad, based on the current occupant of any number of positions, and that's not the right way to set policy. We ought to ignore who the current occupant of any position is, and the policy ought to serve the communities, whether it be my city as a mayor or a county commission, the state or the federal government. It ought not to pass policy based on the current occupant of a position. Let me go further to ask, because you in your own testimony this morning, you mentioned several exemptions that you yourself led a study committee on and evaluated. How were you able to evaluate those absent this legislation?
Well, we did a study committee, and we used Georgia State's resources, and we also had the Metro Atlanta Chamber of Commerce loaned us their economists to help out on that, as well as we pulled a lot of other folks in. So we pulled some folks, and they were gracious enough to give some time over and above their normal jobs to do that. So I think, by the way, I agree with everything you're saying, Mr. Chairman. Could we try to do these off session through a study committee? The answer is yeah, we certainly could do that. However, that would mean that each and every time we did that, we would have the commitment and the resource and the time to do that. I have found that to be very difficult since my first study committee to have those economic analysis done without having a mechanism to do it.
And I guess my final question, and you may not be able to answer, Senator, I don't know that this was your bill, but the House sent to your chamber House Bill 1035 that the Senate has prepared a substitute for, that I believe they'll hear today, that has literally dozens of exemptions and credits that the Senate has made, according to this legislation, recommendations on modifications, repeals, and so forth. I can't imagine the Senate would do anything such as that without a thorough analysis of each of those.
So I couldn't imagine.
So again, is there support and analysis for all these potential exemptions and credits and repeals and modifications? And if so, is this legislation that you're proposing today necessary? If not, or do you intend to walk into Senate Finance this afternoon and ask that all these recommendations be removed from the bill?
I've actually not seen the most current version of the bill. I got to see a very highlighted copy. I believe it has changed over time. Not being the author of the substitute bill, I don't know exactly what process followed there, to be perfectly candid with you. Regardless of that, I believe that during this worldwide pandemic, people are looking at ways to raise revenue as opposed to incur furloughs and other cuts to areas that we're all passionate about for education, public safety, and things of that nature. So I think these are extraordinary circumstances, and I hope our every 102-year pandemic won't happen again. But the reason for this bill is because it's the right thing to do. It's the right policy. It's really doing things well. And it is my hope and dream that long after I'm gone, this process is really vetting out the value to our government, because as we all know, Georgia doesn't have any money; they have ours, right? And I want to make sure it's spent properly.
Thank you.
Other members? Yes, ma'am. What number are you? 4. Got it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator, I have real issues with the auditor kind of being excluded from the process, because many times we use that information from that office for making the original arrangements for whatever we have that we're actually now looking back at. And it seems to me it would be good to have him as a part of the process to say, this is what we were thinking, and this is why it may have worked or not worked, and is there a way that we can do both, have OPB and the auditor as a part of the team that does this? I've wanted this kind of look back for years and been very enthusiastic about the concept, but I think that's a valuable piece of information that if we do not include the state auditor in this process, we might miss something.
You're bringing up a great point, and that's why the bill last year was crafted that way. However, in working with the governor's office throughout the off session, if you will, their point, and I think it's very well taken, is you're already going to get information from the auditor anyway because they had to do the fiscal notes, et cetera. So when you bring OPB, you actually get an independent voice outside of what the auditor has done to begin with. Now, they still may ask for some of their information, but it does give a little bit of a system of checks and balances. So the challenge today with the fiscal note process is, let's say we had a new tax credit exemption that we started, and it was for $10 million a year. What's the state auditor going to tell us? Well, the budget could be impacted $10 million a year. They don't actually do an economic analysis and say, well, for that $10 million a year, we're going to create these jobs, which will result in this much income tax, this much sales tax. It'll come from the state. It'll go down to the cities, to the counties, what it all means, so the analysis can come back and show those positive results. In fact, I remember working with Chairman Stevens. We were looking at some of the historic tax credits, right? And they were coming back, I think 3.5 to 1, I think, or something was the final number, right? When we did that full analysis. Wow, that was compelling, right? Where we found some other ones that, again, were either not being used. So I like actually now what the governor brought up and having that check and balance.
Thank you.
Chairman Newton. Oh, let me see, you're 10, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Senator. I think it's a great idea. One of the things about the independent auditors on line 27, which I think the point of independent auditors, I guess piggybacking on what Chairman Harrell mentioned, would you be open to, on line 27, changing may to shall to make sure that we've got an independent audit? There would still be obviously the data has to come from OPB, but a choice of auditors and a description of what the economic analysis was on the earlier lines of the bill seem, I think that's what the chairpersons, especially irrespective of the current occupant of, as governor, like Chairman Harrell mentioned, I think that would give us the independent audit, even though there'd still be a certain amount of leeway because OPB and the administration would get to choose the independent auditor, but it might give the two chairpersons more of what they're looking for.
You and I are thinking alike. I actually brought the exact thing up back in December before we even came in the session. And the reason why they wanted that to be a may is for economic times just like this, right? They would not want to, because if the statute says we can each ask for 5 and they have to do 10, now we're having to pay someone to do that, where during this time we probably would only use internal resources that are already built into the budget and not want to spend it. So it was giving them the flexibility during different budget times to do what they thought was best with the dollars that they had. But I agree with you. That absolutely makes sense. My only concern is this was carefully compromised to make sure that we could have everyone in sync.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Other members? Yes, sir. Are you number 6?
Yes, right
Okay.
now I am.
Yes, sir.
I thought this is Mr. Chairman. Thanks, Senator. Just along the lines of the question, I love the idea of more of a dynamic scoring. I don't know, can you hear me in this thing? A dynamic scoring of what we may do. I do have the same as Dr. Newton, worry that OPB is an executive branch agency. If we don't go if we don't go outside that, you know, sometimes there may be a conflict with, we don't have one today with our executive branch, but you know, when you put that into statute and you say may, I understand in economic times they may, but they also may not go to an independent auditor if they like what they come up with. So that gives me some pause. And again, notwithstanding, you know, the working relationship this legislature has with our governor's office, but on an ongoing matter.
Thank you very much.
Other members? Bring us some very good points. If there is nothing else, it looks like we've got some more discussion, if you will, before we perfect this particular piece of legislation on something that needs to happen, big time. So, thank you, Chair.
Mr. Chairman,
Hall.
members of the committee, thank you.
Thank you, Senator. We are moving on to, who's here? Who's got a bill in front of the subcommittee? I think Senator Mullis, Payne, Kennedy. We stand at ease for a moment till we can get somebody over here. House Bill 410. Excuse me, Senate Bill, everything should be a House bill. Senate Bill 410 and the Majority Whip will present. And you have the floor. What number are you, sir? Number 11. Gotcha.
I'm pulling up the legislation, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to present this for the Senate Republican Caucus Chairman, Senator Kennedy. He's on the floor. They're passing House bills and asked if we could accommodate him staying there to help get some of them done. So I wanted to certainly do that, and I'll be carrying this bill in the House. Senate Bill 410 closes a loophole that I see when it comes to Board of Assessors and the appeals that result from that. Currently, there's a provision to have attorney's fees awarded if you prove that your property, after an assessment is made, determination of the value of the appeal is 85% or less of the valuation set by the County Board of Equalization. And if that's determined there, attorney's fees are awarded, but there's also a provision where you can appeal that decision up to a superior court. This would simply say that if you appeal it up to the superior court, there's still an opportunity to collect those attorney's fees as well, hopefully giving taxpayers an opportunity to seek a correction to their assessment where necessary. So it's just closing a loophole and making clear that where there is a assessment that's determined less than 85% of the original assessment by the Board of Equalization, that they'll have the same protections at Superior Court that they do at the Board of Equalization hearing.
Sounds like a good bill. Any questions of the committee? Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. What number?
Number 16. Okay. So when you're talking about appealing to the Superior Court, that's if either party appeals it to the Superior Court.
That's right. And what we found is that we've seen some local governments who, once the appeal at the Board of Equalization is less than 85%, and they could be on the hook for attorney's fees, they automatically appeal it up to the Superior Court so that they can erase those.
Right. Good bill.
We're in. Anybody else? If not, I'll take a motion.
Move to pass.
We got a motion. Is there a second? We have motion second. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed. Bill moves on to full committee. Does anybody want to present everything should be a House bill. Senate Bill 480.
Mr. Chairman, I just received a message that Senator Huffstutler asked us to postpone 480.
Okay.
Today, and I've just received a message from Senator Mullis. They are still on the floor debating and voting, apparently, on a farm bill at the moment. I don't know is anyone present? Has Senator Mullis asked any of the members present to carry this bill yet, or is anybody familiar with it? This is 289. I've read the bill, but has any House member here been in contact with the senator that would feel comfortable presenting it?
This is, Mr. Chairman, is clearly an issue that the tax commissioners wanted just one word added to that to be an optional piece so that they could have the manpower to follow these mobile home decals, if you will, that they sell, of course, at that you're required to pay. And some of these tax commissioners just asked the word to be optional, and I'd like to get either by text, and I've sent that to Chairman Mullis to see if that is okay with him. And if that's it looks to me to be a very good bill.
Okay.
And it is a mobile home decal bill. let me see.
I'm not sure the time that the Senate, how quickly they may adjourn. Does it make, and how quickly we have meetings following ours, but we want to stand at ease for a couple of minutes anyway and potentially give them a moment to, if they adjourn in the next minute or two, arrive or get the answer to your question, Chairman Stevens.
Yes, sir, we'll stand at ease.
Certainly. If it gets us moving, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And
Yes, sir.
I'll remind committee we are being streamed. So we're going to do which one? Senate Bill 480? Nope. Sorry, hit the wrong button. Let's do 369. Senator Payne. Okay.
I'll channel my,
Number 6. Got it.
Mr. Chairman, I'll try to channel my Senator Payne for you and tell you that I believe Senate Bill 369 simply seeks to get an electronic copy of a submission. It doesn't require any special software, drawing attention to the lines 14 through 18, which define what electronic transmission is. It looks like the department is just seeking to get records for a submission in something like a PDF format. I would think most people are doing that now. And this just codifies that. I think it would provide for a better tracking, probably a more efficient situation. And given our recent pandemic where people are working from home and spread out, it'll keep paper from being pushed around. So I'll try to answer any questions, but I think it's fairly self-explanatory in lines 14 through 18 where electronic means are defined.
If there are no questions, and I'm sure there's not, it's a good bill, department bill, I will take a motion on Senate Bill 369. Got a moves or second? Got a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, moves on to full committee. Now, put him down.
He may have, if he doesn't have any maps lined up, I'm happy to do it.
Okay. Senate Bill 289, and you, what mic are you? 12. You're on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Basically, all Senate Bill 289 just does away with the requirement to have the decal displayed on the mobile home is best I can tell what we're doing. So,
There was a request for tax commissioners. Do we want, anybody want to amend the chairman of the Rules Committee's bill? Out of curiosity and question, does anybody think this might be a structured rule or structured bill?
They tend to engross there or something, Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
I can look back on the vote. What was the bill?
Bill, Senate Bill 289.
I'll look it up to see if it was. Chairman Stevens, when that bill came through, it was February 5th. It actually passed 50-0. I'm speaking of Senate Bill 289, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it passed 50-0 in the Senate. There was only one vote, so it was not engrossed.
Okay. And I'll leave it back up to members. Is there any questions or on the bill? And again, I have not heard from the senator.
They're still on the floor.
Okay.
Waiting to vote on the farm bill.
the right to phone.
Is there a motion? Yes, sir. What? We have a motion to do pass. There is a second. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed. Is there any other bills to be heard today? We will have an opportunity, since it was not engrossed in the Senate, to address the issue of the tax commissioners as we move this bill along. So we are adjourned.